We're back with West Oahu Chancellor Gene Awakuni.
In your small kid time,
Yeah.
you had good grades?
Well, I had up to the first 6 years of school, I did pretty well, and then everything.
That's kindergarten.
Kindergarten, yeah, exactly. I was good at blocks. I was very good at blocks.
At least you're good at something. He was good at showing up for school, best attendance.
Yeah, good attendance. That's good.
This is Gene's interview. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was not a great student. In fact, my mother was embarrassed. You know, Japanese American, you got to go Japanese language school, a lot of the kids. And I got kicked out of Japanese school, so she wasn't real happy about my academic prowess.
You got kicked out for grades or for what?
Well, behavioral problems. You know, the sensei, the principal called and told him, yeah, we don't want him back. He's causing trouble with other kids and so on. So I was sort of viewed as an instigator of not good things. And then intermediate, I went to Jared. I grew up in Palolo Valley, and you know, just didn't do much schoolwork. And I carried over to high school. Barely, as I said, barely made it out. I mean, I'm not proud of all of the kinds of things we did, but I was more interested in racing cars at the time. Back then, you know, going out and to Campbell Park, race my '55 Chevy. That's all we had interest in at the time.
Oh, so you must have had a pretty girlfriend then, huh?
Yeah, one or two. Yeah, one or two.
So what was a turning point for you then? Because how do you end up like getting booted out of school and then you end up at Harvard? Where's the turning point?
I think the turning point was being in the Marine Corps and in Vietnam for 13 months. You have a lot of time to think about your life, and you see other. We were kids. We were 18, 19 years old. I mean, you see how life hits you in the face, and you're not really ready for that kind of experience. I mean, I used to see guys crying at night and things like that. It was a pretty bizarre, surreal experience. And so I think coming back, I realized that I needed to do something other than just work at minimum wage jobs, and started at Leeward, because I wouldn't have been able to get into UH Manoa directly. So that was my path.
Was there a specific experience you had at Vietnam that kind of made this epiphany for you?
I think it wasn't a particular experience, or just sort of a collective sense that, you know, I got to sort of do something with my life. I mean, we're on the verge of being, you know, snuffed out, right? So you think about all of the kinds of things that you can do with your life when you're that close to the edge. When you're on perimeter watch at night, 5 or 6 hours, and all you do is looking out, and you got all this time to think about things that have happened, family, all of these young kid experiences. And so I decided when I came back that I wanted to try to my life together. It wasn't easy, by the way. It wasn't just that boom, I went from Leeward, and then all of a sudden I'm at Manoa. Although I did eventually get to Manoa and became SUH president, which was quite an extraordinary feat for someone like me coming from Palolo Valley, you know, and from a family where neither of my parents finished high school. They both have 8th grade education. So it's, you know, it's quite a journey, and that's why I think higher education is the right field for me. Because there are a lot of kids like me that I've met over the years that have helped to support, mentor, give them some encouragement, because, you know, if it can happen to somebody like me, it can definitely happen to these other kids.
Do you do this because somebody encouraged and supported you?
Yeah, you know, some folks along the way saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. They would say, you have ability, you can do this. And I said, really? Folks like, as I mentioned, Dean Neubauer, there's Marilyn Caulfield when I was in social work, told me, you got to go get your doctorate. And then when I was doing my pre-doctoral internship, a fellow who was really the guy that was the sort of the focus of my support during that period, this guy, Joe White. And one time, he was my supervising psychologist, and so he oversaw my work. He's a well-known, internationally known psychologist. And he said to me one day, he said, Gene, he says, someday you're going to be my boss. And I said to him, what? You know, you're crazy. So he said, no, you're going to be my boss. You're going to be the director. You're going to be the vice chancellor, and so on. And you know what? it turned out that he was right. And so I had all of these mentors along the way that helped me get to the next level. And I want to do the same thing for kids here.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.